Hey, Bards. Psst.
Yes, Grant.
Be careful. Rats might be listening.
Could be spying.
Yeah, spying on behalf of Liamo and Deck to see how good our show is.
That's understandable.
So, another win.
Another win, mate. We'll take the 4 points and the 4 points, as it may be this time round. Or 3 points.
So we're going to go with our first segment of Match Review.
Yes, mate. It was a rather lacklustre affair, I must admit, but we came home with the goods.
Well, the intro had to be better than how good the game was, so I've just grabbed the toilet roll holder and introduced it. So there you go.
Very nice.
Got some scores for us, Bards.
I do, mate, indeed. It's Hawthorn 14-15. 99, defeating North Melbourne 13-18, 96.
Goal kickers?
Rioli 4, Max Bailey with our first 3, and singles to Hill, Smith, Burgoyne, Gunston, Mitchell, Osborne and Roughhead.
Best players?
Votes, mate, I've got 5 to Rioli. I'll give him 4 to Brad Hill. Thought he had a ripper game. 3 to Brian Lake, 2 to Mitchell and 1 to Burgoyne.
Good spread there, Bards. Do you want to talk about them and why you didn't give Maxie Bailey a vote?
Well, apart from the first 3 goals, Max was actually pretty poor, I thought. We got smashed at clearances, and that's his role.
And Hill nearly made himself a hero.
He did, mate. Had to put that one away at the end. Would have sealed the game. And then I had deja vus of Tom Hawkins as the ball went up the other end very quickly. Luckily, they ran out of time.
And Lake, a good solid 3 there. That's an excellent start for his career at Hawthorn.
Yeah, he looked very composed back there, mate. It's amazing the extra confidence he adds to the long ball coming in. You weren't that worried. They smashed us in clearances and inside 50s, but they still had pretty low rate of marks inside 50. He positions himself so well. It's such a shame that he can't play alongside Shuey, because I reckon he would have taught Shuey a lot. But we'll hopefully see that with a bit of training and coming in the next year. But yeah, no, he looked very good, and I think made everyone stand taller.
And he certainly made Drew Petrie go up the ground to get his kicks, didn't he?
That's it, mate. And blokes like Petrie have been able to hurt us in the past as well. So, pushing him up the ground away from goal, it made it harder. Look, I saw somewhere on the TV, they said someone at North, that's where they fell down. We scrapped and didn't play anywhere near our best footy. Didn't kick straight for a change. We've been pretty good this year, and we still got the points. So, yeah, they've still got a bit to do, North. They're a good team. They fight out well, but they've got to polish it off a bit.
But they were getting the ball out of the midfield, which was something we just couldn't do all day.
Yeah, look, mate, we got smashed in the middle, which was a bit strange. But I guess, if we get Saul back in there this week, that should make a difference as a pure clearance player, even though we'll lose Rioli. So hopefully that's the change we need. Yeah,
it'll be interesting this week, won't it? And we'll get on to match reviews shortly. So we should go into a few other things. A few things were disappointing from that game, especially when the news came through about a couple of Hawthorn supporters being ejected, or one being ejected and the other one being looked for around some racial taunts. That's pretty ordinary from Hawthorn supporters.
It is, mate, and that is a lovely segue to Bards' Blast, if you'd like to hear that now.
All right, let's go for it then.
All right, there we go. So to the numbskull who had the audacity to claim to be a Hawthorn supporter and then sit at the MCG and hand out racial slurs to Majak Daw, Daniel Wells and Lindsay Thomas. You're kind of not welcome at the Hawthorn Football Club, the MCG or anywhere else where our great game is played. Take your stupid views, your filthy mouth and your antiquated ways, move to Antarctica where there's no one for you to annoy. If you want to have a go at blokes, have a go at Lindsay Thomas's flopping for free kicks, or at Majak's easy misses, or Daniel Wells, best you leave him alone. Have a go at North's shitty rough-up tactics, or Macmillan's tough headbutt on Franklin. To bring colour into it shows a genuine lack of wit on your part, not to mention the fact that you're probably at the same time applauding efforts from Hawthorn players such as Franklin, Rioli, Burgoyne, Hill and Gibson. You're an imbecile, and hopefully we never have to see you at the football again.
Hear, hear, Bards.
mate, that's just ridiculous behaviour. And, you know, you hear it's happened a few times in the last couple of years, and I'm sure no clubs has no one that does it. Thankfully, where we sit, we're in a pretty good area and we don't hear anything along those lines. But, you know, it's really up to the other supporters to point these blokes out. Don't confront them yourself. They're the sort of blokes that will knock you out, like we saw another on the news today. Ring the number, get them dobbed in and get them out of the ground. We don't need that. No,
agree. The worst we hear from, of course, where we sit, is the lady and her son, about 3 rows back, that annoys the crap out of Adam. I must say, Buds, I don't know what the technology here in Australia is like, but I did a tour of Old Trafford, my second home, the home away from home.
Yes.
And it was fascinating, this tour. A couple of things in relation to this type of thing. They were talking about the fact that there's 180 different cameras within Old Trafford to be looking for people to pick out for whatever, be it racial vilification, be it for just, you know, stupidness, be it for fighting, whatever. Unbelievable. And they were talking about the facial recognition technology they had, so that once they identify somebody that's been thrown out or given a lifetime ban or a ban of some sort, any ground in the English Premier League, they all have similar technology that they can actually spot in the grounds who will have got through the gate that shouldn't be there and they get ejected. It's unbelievable.
Fantastic though, isn't it? I mean, it's sad that it's come to that, but its technology is very useful for sure. There was something on, I think it may have been one of the news services or a current affair during the week, I think, that showed a little bit of the MCG behind the scenes and what they can do with cameras to identify people. I doubt that it'd be at the standard as Old Trafford, but yeah, obviously they have got something in place where they can zoom in and pick out individuals in the crowd.
And the other thing they were talking about, and they've got 3 cells, so they've literally got a police station on site.
Yeah.
And they process people, and that they were saying last year there was something, I think, in the order of about 160 people that had been through this police station and been charged. And they were saying 10, 20 years ago that was 160 people per game.
Yeah.
So that's what they've been able to stamp out of the game.
Yep.
And we want to maintain similar standards that we look upon as well, don't we?
Yeah, look, English football have done a great job of cleaning the game up in the last 15 years. Really, it even goes back right through to Hillsborough and since then with the removing of standing room and going to all-seaters, and they've managed to clean the game up, which is great.
Now, talking of Premier League, and it's something that's dear to Adam's heart, Adam's not here, is he?
No, the man's missing in action again.
I think it was all too much for him last week. Yeah. Too many outtakes.
I think so, and then he had to sit through that game on Sunday. Not the best show of our skills for your first game back.
He wasn't happy, not happy indeed. So hopefully we'll hear Wedder's back. He's doing a Willie Nelson at the moment. He's on the road, catching up with everyone he's missed for the last 12 months.
Fair enough, and then I guess he's got to get back to Sydney and find a job.
On the road again, just can't wait to get on the road again.
So I'm going to go for that segment I've been trying to get off the ground for 2 weeks now. Fair sucker the sad umpire.
This should be good after last week.
What can I say? But when supporters are not singing the song at the end of the game, they're too busy booing the umpires, that's enough for me. Fair sucker the Sav umpire. Was that mark a mark to Magic Door? I could go on, but we'd be here all night, and we've only got 20 minutes to record to. So, that's all I've got to say. Fair sucker the Sav.
Lovely work, mate. Look, from my vantage point of watching on TV, when you hear the big Bronx cheers go up every time Hawthorn actually got a free kick towards the end of the game, I knew the natives were restless. It did not look good.
My call, and Wedders will confirm this, was, well, we don't have to sing the song now. We'll be back next week. You guys won't be.
Very true.
Anyway, we move on. Now, we had no responses to the scarf challenge, did we?
Not that I saw, mate, which means I win. What do I win?
The pleasure of my company again.
Ah, lovely.
And I came second.
We got this covered.
I'm going to go another one now.
Okay.
So today was the release of the 2008 Grange, and I'm sure you've got plenty of that at your premises, Bart.
Don't quite stretch to the Grange, but I have got a few 389s and 407s in stock.
I tell you what I do have. I have from 2008 the Carlton Draft cans with the team on the back. From you, thank you very much.
And I still have more of those available if any of our listeners are after them.
Is that right?
I wouldn't drink it.
No.
But it will be a great collector's item.
Fantastic. Anyway, it got me thinking. So this week's challenge is about 2008. So clearly there's a great bottle of red wine that's been produced. What other good things were produced in 2008, Bart?
Oh, well, I can think of one thing, which was a Hawthorn premiership, but I don't think that's what you're getting at.
Well, that's the main thing, isn't it? So, along with the greatness of the 2008 premiership, what were the other great things that we as Hawthorn supporters can look back on? So I want to see a list, and let's see what people can come up with this time. And we'll offer a Hawthorn mug to see what the best one is.
All right, mate. Should get some interesting things anyway.
Based on last week, I'll still have the mug, and I'll be drinking out of it for a couple of weeks.
Based on last week, I won, mate. You owe me the mug.
All right, we move on. How about now we're off to match review.
Was that preview with a P?
Match preview.
Thank you, mate. All right, what do we got this week, mate? Hawthorn versus Adelaide in the City of Churches. 4:30 on Saturday afternoon, I believe.
4:40.
4:40. 4:30 start on TV, maybe. I don't know.
Which would be 4:10 their time.
Yes, exactly right. And right in the time where it'll get right in the middle of my dinner service, so I probably won't get to watch the game live. Well, not the second half anyway. But
actually, Buds, what we've forgotten here is so it's now time for that new segment, that old segment, the segment from the 70s and the 80s, From the Back Line.
Indeed it is, Graham. I've got the sides here for our game versus Adelaide, 4:40. Saturday afternoon at the Adelaide, a football park in Adelaide. Next year it'll be the Adelaide Oval. So from the back line, Gibson, Lake, Hodge, good player to have in the back pocket. Birchall, Stratton, Guerra. The centres are Smith, Mitchell and Bradley Hill. Half forward line, Burgoyne, Franklin and Puopolo. The forwards are Bruce, Roughhead and Gunston. Followers, the goal kicker Bailey, Lewis and Brad Sewell making a welcome return to the team. And the interchange, Shields, Hale, Simpkin for his first game in Hawks colours. And Michael Osborne. Emergencies, Taylor Duray, Cole Cheney and Matthew Springer.
And the ins and the outs?
Ins, as I said, mate, Brad Sewell and Jonathan Simpkin for his first game, who we picked up as a free agent from Geelong. And going out, Cyril Rioli with the 8-week hamstring injury. And Shane Savage, who's been omitted, funnily enough.
Yeah, not surprised by that omission, are we?
Well, you'd think after sitting down for 3 quarters and having pretty fresh legs, you'd manage to get a touch in the last quarter and a bit. Not so for Shane.
No, he struggled, didn't he?
He did, mate. Look, hopefully he goes back to Box Hill and gets some game time and gets the confidence back, because when he's at his best, he can definitely make our 22. His run we do need, especially now with Rioli out, but you just couldn't play him again after the performance he put in.
So he's someone who didn't get any votes, but is very important to us, and again in the side, Paul Puopolo.
Yeah, I've read a bit of negative stuff about him in the last week where people aren't so impressed with how he's going, but his work rate and his forward pressure that he puts on up the front there, very important to our balance, I think.
And I'll tell you, someone else had a shocker last week, so hopefully second week back he'll be fine, is Brent Guerra. I mean, uncharacteristic the amount of times he kicked it out of full or missed targets.
Yeah, very unlike Brent. And again, he's kicking without Suckling back there as well. He's obviously very important. So hopefully that's just, a bit of rusty spots, and as he gets going, he'll be all right again.
Did miss Suckling last week, I thought. That penetrating kick, and even Showmakers for that matter, those 2 penetrating kicks out of the back line, they'll have to think about that.
Yeah, they'll need to get that right, and hopefully, with Hodgie back there, hopefully he gets into a bit more than what he did in the first half last week, and he can be useful. Brian Lake's also a very good kick, so once we get going, we should be right.
Adelaide are pretty lacklustre, and after losing Tex Walker, is there much that we'll be up against?
Well, goal kicking wise, they'll be relying probably on a small fleet. They've brought Sean McKernan in, but he's a kid still finding his way, so I don't think they're going to have too much to trouble Lake in terms of height back there. You take Walker and tip it out of their side that played against us in the prelim last year. It's a big loss for them. So we're going to be a little bit slower, I think, for a while. Simpkin comes in, doesn't have the same sort of speed as Rioli, obviously, and neither does Sewell coming in. So we've lost a little bit of pace there, but we've got genuine ball winners, and I think that's where they want to improve for our centre clearances from last week. So, look, as the great intellect of Will Minson said on the footy show, I think we saw stats last week and still won the game. We come out this week and turn those stats around like we should, and I think it'll be a pretty comfortable victory.
Play to watch.
Mate, I'm pretty keen on seeing how Sewell comes back, and also Simpkin, the two blokes coming in, obvious picks, but Simpkin was very good in the pre-season to a point where I thought he'd probably force his way into the side for round one, and that hasn't been the case, so going to have a bit to prove. And the other one who will have to have a day out, will want to have a day out, is Franklin after last week's effort. He could have quite easily kicked 3 goals too last week, Franklin. He's a little bit stiff, but his work rate and possessions were way down on where he has been, so hopefully he can turn that around.
Well, according to Adelaide management, this is probably an audition for him.
Mate, every club he plays against is going to be on the audition all year.
So we better get into margin. I think Wedders actually won it when he changed his selection from 27 points to 4 goals 3, and then to be 4 kicks and 1 out of the full. I think that was about right, wasn't it?
I was going to take the 4 kicks as 3 points, and he had 4 points. He was pretty close.
Yeah, something like that. So what do you reckon this week?
I'm going to go with 29 points.
I'm going to go with 7 goals again.
Fair enough. Hopefully you're right and I'm wrong.
A win's a win, isn't it?
It is, mate.
5-1 would be nice.
Oh, look, if we're 5-1, and worst case scenario, Sydney beat us next week, we end up 5-2. More than happy to take that from the first 7 games. So this week's a really important game. I reckon it actually takes a bit of pressure off next week. We win this week and we're sitting at 5-1. We can go in that match knowing that it's not going to matter too much which way it goes, and I think that'll actually free us up and we'll do better against them.
All right. Well, we've got to get over this hurdle first, and just because they're a bit undermanned through some massive injuries and losses in pre-season doesn't mean that we shouldn't pay them their dues. We are, after all, going to Adelaide, and that is pretty tough, both in the car park, in the stands, and on the ground.
Correct.
So we wish the boys all the very, very best, and all those Hawthorn supporters that make it out there and get away safely.
That's it. Make sure you pack a non-Hawthorn jumper just to slip over the top if you're sliding out.
All right. Well, that's got to be it for this week, Bards.
Yes.
So, as usual, that big sign-off is Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.